Hey, Hashem, we're in Shirat David. We're going to do our weekly relationship flow. We did not do a Leil Shishi because we were still making achanas, preparing for today's learning, and it was a busy beginning of the week. So usually I have my chavrusa in the Tolna Rebbe's Torah on Yom Shlishi Belayla and Min Hashemayim. So this week it was Leil Shishi preparing. So Baruch Hashem, we didn't get these new Sefer Chebsed Zampin. So we only have from last Shabbos, Parshat Veaschanan, and we're going to do Maimah Zayin and Maimah Ches, the 7th and 8th Maimah from the pamphlet that you kindly got me. Appreciate that very much. But the Hashkacha Pratis is that this week's Parsha and last week's Parsha both are the continuation of the Krias Shema and the Parshas of Tefillin. So we have the full shlemus of Tefillin. Already, if you go back to Parshas Bo, Kadesh, Vayikivayecha, we have the two Parshas there, and all the way through till we get to Sefer Devarim, Parshat Veaschanan Ekev, till we get Shema, Vayim Shema, the two Parshas, the last Parshas of Krias Shema. And according to Rashi, it's Keneged Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Seder goes according to the order in the Torah, and according to Rebbeinu Tam, the last two Parshas switch. And there's a lot of sodas to why that. But the Nakuda, the Hashkacha Pratis also is, being that we don't have the Ekev Torah from the Rebbe, also he was away, he's also having some sort of chofish, to balance and prepare for Elul. It's important that we have time to regroup and mechazik. So the Hashkacha Pratis is the Torah that I learned last night was a Chana Rosh Hashana Metchilas Gimel Mem Yomim Kodim. The preparations to Rosh Hashana begins 43 days before. 45, so usually we talk about 45, no? But the Rebbe here says Dafka 43. This is when the Shir was given. And today is 43 days before Rosh Hashana. So Hashkacha Pratis, we're learning this Torah, even though it's from last Shabbos, but in terms of the Parsha, but in terms of the Zman, it's the time. And as I said, it's the koyach of Parshas Tefillin is a big koyach, because Tefillin, I just was watching a shir from Moshe Weinberger, who was speaking to some special neshama, but maybe we'll put the link in the description, and he was talking about his Tefillin from his father, from Matzalshausen, from during the Shoah. He had a big nace, a lot of nisim, that he was able to look after them and all kinds of miracles to protect the Tefillin and wear them during the Shoah. His Moshe Weinberg's father, Zan, after Ben Chaim Moshe said that he himself got to wear them his own Bar Mitzvah. His father put them on his son, and told him the story of how they were saved, and he shared it just recently in a very nice video. So it's worth watching. Of Weinberger giving chizuk to a special neshama, and the idea of tefillin is very important. Tefillin flow. We have a daily chat. We share tefillin. We share the kedushas tefillin, and this is going to be a nakuda of what we're learning, because tefillin is the key to life. And for a yid, obviously Shabbos Moedim, we don't need tefillin. We don't wear tefillin because we have the os of the Shabbos. We're looking forward to the Shabbos this week, a second Shabbos of Nechama. Of Nechama, and one of the Ikon Nechamas is that we're bringing the Shechina with Hashem Tamid. This is what we're going to learn about now. Pasach Harav Oma Parshat Betuach B'Tefila Shel Moshe Ben Olav Hashem Shebikesh She'Techayin Al Hashem La'alas La'aretz HaKodesh. We all know that Moshe Rabbeinu was davening to request to be able to come to Eretz Yisrael, to the Holy Land. K'siv Veaschanan Hashem Beitzehi Hashem Yisparach Lo Nana Alav. Hashem did not answer him. Ela Amalo Rav L'cha El Tosef Davar Alai Od B'Davar Zeh. Don't continue to speak in daven in this manner. Gam says the Tolna Rebbe Gam Ki Azak V'Shavash Shasam Filosi. It's a pasuk from later on in the Eicha. And this is the aspect of when your tefillah is unanswered. It's a mitzvah. Right now, personally, I'm davening strong for Panasa, and Mr. Hashem will come. But there's a tekufa where it's not coming, so you have to daven stronger and stronger. And you have to work on yourself. I mean, everyone has these nukudas, shidduch, growth in Torah, in midas, and in shalom bayis. Certain tekufas where you're davening and it's not seemingly being answered. And
Mashiach coming.
Mashiach coming. In the Gamba Gilas Eicha, Shekranu Zu Ata B'Yom Hama, Nima Yom Tes B'Av. We know that it was a very bitter day, and we talk about in Megillah Seika on the Tisha B'Av. Kisiv Sham Ki Bezak V'Shavava Shosel Tfilosi. I was screaming out, and my tefillahs were shut out. They weren't heard. I mean, that was part of the whole Gezerah and Am Yisrael. They say in the Shah, the Gezerah and Am Yisrael there was a wall of Basel in Shemayim, like an iron wall, not allowing the tefillahs going up. They said the same thing by the Beis HaMikdash. So even Am Yisrael used to go to shul. Maybe they talked in shul. That was also talked about. But the tefillahs were not miskabel, so then the machshamams could do what they did. Because if Am Yisrael's tefillahs are being miskabel, we would have been saved in a moment. Yeah. So that's one of the hardest things to work through. So Moshe Rabbeinu experienced this all the way in Parshat Veaschanan, and it says in Megillah Seika that our tefillahs will be shut out. And we're believers, the children of believers. Hashem was, he will be. Itanu Tamid. He's always with us. Yeah, whether it's in the past, in the present, or in the future, he's always with us. Tamid. In every place and every time. Kafi Shesharanu Ata is Divrei Noyim is Miras Yisrael. And according to the songs that we sing, and sweet words of the pleasant words of the Miras Yisrael, which is David Melech, in Tehillim Chav Gimel, we say this all the time. Gam Kielech B'Geis HaMavis Lo Irera Kiyate Madi, that you are with me even in the valley of death, and in the worst places. I will not fear evil. Why? Because you are with me. Kiyate Madi. Meisa Lo Teitzaras, and you will not come out bad from this. Ki Hakol Tova, because everything is for the good. Amna Me'inenu Inanu Basa Inenu Yochlim Levasa. The problem is that we're not able, our eyes of flesh are not able to see the good that's in the challenging situation. Because we see ourselves as the aspects of our tefillahs are not being heard, like we said in Eicha. And we need to remember this is also for our good, that our tefillahs are not being heard. The same beginning of the pasuk Gam Ki of Gam Ki Eilech is the same beginning of the pasuk in the Megillah Gam Ki Azak. Yeah, that our tefillahs have been shut out. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean that we don't keep davening. We learned from Moshe that he kept davening until Hashem himself told him to stop. We have to always keep davening and keep warning and praying, but we also have to realize that Hashem is with us, whatever the situation is. And the tefillahs are definitely having a hashpah, have an effect. But more importantly, our emunah is strong, that everything is a tova, no matter what goes on. And that's the strength that Yidden had, like Moshe Weinberger's father in the Shoah, that they came out and they were able to bring out a Rav. I mean, I was studying in Shirat David, which is a lot to do with Moshe Weinberger, because he has a big hashpah on Rav Shlomo Katz, who should be well. He's in America right now, so he should be well. Yeah, so before being davik to Hashem, you'll be zokeh to a full life, to real life. So we're at the 16th day, it's actually the 17th right now. Gam Yomim Kodem Yomedin, 43 days before Rosh Hashana, the day of judgment. HaGodol VaNoira, this great and awesome day. Asher Brius, Boi Yifraktu Lezechiram, L'chaim, L'hefech L'chaim, and everyone's going to be remembered for life, or the opposite of life, God forbid. V'shana ha'alefes ara l'kala l'kedisha kihila l'kedisha hadain asan godol. There was a big asan godol, and I was there when this happened years ago when this Torah was written. שנסתלק ממנו עמד הטבח שכנעשינו ארי שבחורה זה מבני עלייה ידידנו רבי שלמה אדלמן זייחס Sadik the Baruch.
Was it Shabbos? Was that Shabbos last week?
Yeah, it wasn't his Yotzai. His Yotzai was Erev Purim, because I remember when it happened, I was there. And that Purim that year was Purim Mishulish, was very sad in Tolna. They tried to make it Simcha Day, but it was very hard. Shkoyach, Shabbos.
You know, you said Gam Kielech.
Gam Kielech.
The gates are lovers.
Yeah.
Lo ira. I won't be afraid. Ra, but never. It's bad.
Yeah.
We have to have Hashem here.
Oh, that's what he's saying. Exactly the same Nakuda. Very good.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. So Rav Edelman, Shlomo Edelman, should be a schus for his neshama. I was there at that time when he was nifta, and I remember he has a lot of children. Baruch Hashem, should be well. He has a lot of family in Tolna, and he was a big pillar in Tolna, a big chassid of the Rebbe. And we know that the shul eventually expanded after his passing. They got the larger shul, and also they all the Torahs till now are still being dedicated. Many of the Torahs still.
His son is doing all the Torahs. If not a son,
yeah.
I don't know how everyone else.
And also all the Sidurim and the new shul were dedicated to his neshama. So he definitely left a big legacy.
Why it's so strong?
Such as he was a big presence. I remember him. He had a big ashpah in the shul. He was a big chassid of the Rebbe.
I know he was the biggest chassid from the Rebbe.
And he was. I think he was named from Bobov because he was from Bobov Chassidim, Shlomo. So I don't know that for sure, but Shlomo Bobov, he definitely had ashpah. Bar Mitzvah b'kol sarach Yeshua's gedolos. So we know that Bar Mitzvah, and that was then, and we know now even more so that we need big Yeshuas. We need to remember all the time, Prat b'yitur Sarah b'sukkah, even when it's a difficult time. Such a special neshama was taken, and there was all these yesomim. Hashem isbach nimsa imanu tamid. Hashem is with us all the time. Ana masideinu suikin gam keim lios im HaKadosh Baruch Hu tamid. And we need to realize that we're with HaKadosh Baruch Hu all the time. K'diksiv pashtan v'atama deveikim b'Hashem elokeikim chayim kulchem hayam. That we'll be davek with Hashem our God in chayim in all our days. B'chol sheniya anachnu deveikim bo. That we will be davik in him. Kach gam nizkor shu nimsa tamid imanu. So this devekus, being davik to Hashem, we know is one of the main ways through davik to Sadiq, davik to Tam Chachomim, davik in Torah, and davik in his midas. But the point is that we're davik in the Nekudas HaChaim, and the fact that Hashem is with us all the time. There's never a moment, even though we sometimes feel like, where are you, Hashem? Ayecha, He's with us all the time. He's within all our challenges, all our... At the end of the day, we're on our phone, having the sionis, who knows, Hashem Shmeinu, that whatever it is, or having not good thoughts, Hashem is with us. Hine noted the Ma'amazar Kodesh, Shayom B'chol Mokum. On the day, in every place, remember, the Yom Adin, Yom Rosh Hashana. So whenever we see a Yom in the Pesukim, like in Krias Shema, Hayom, we know that's the Inyan of is Rosh Hashana. We're tapping into that special day. And now that we're 43 days before Rosh Hashana, and Hashem is always with us, no matter what. So we need to make an extra effort to be davik with Hashem. Hashem's asking us to. Then we'll be zok to Nizka B'Yom Hashana l'seis zachayim b'din, to go out from any judgment. L'ksiv b'sefer chayim will be written in the book of life. Chayim kulchem hayom. Zeh ampin. He brings a summary here. Gam shenira shetefila eina mitzvah. Sometimes it seems like tefilas are not being received. Aleinu zis lizkor es Hashem tamid itanu. We have to remember constantly Hashem is with us. Hakol rak l'tivoseinu. Everything is for our good. Alei shedavik b'Hashem b'yom. Gam yomim kodem hashon lizkor liktov b'sefer chayim. That by us remembering already, starting the chanas early, not waiting till Elul or to sleep week of sleepless.
If you make Torah now, so you show that you like Hashem, so you want to make a Torah now.
Chodesh Menachem Av.
Before Elul.
Next week's going to be the outside from the Belzerov, the Baron of Belz. I was mazocher to be close, I'm going to phone up the Dayan in the new week to remind him to daven by the Keva for us. He goes there. It's in Yerushalyim in Hamanukas. Never not so far from Rosh Hashana or Moshe Feinstein. They're all buried near to each other. It's Christian. So the idea that we have to daven with the Schus and Tzadikim, that we should be Zok to Chaim and to go in the ways of Tzadikim. He had the Bel Zarav. It's such a Indian of Dan L'Chavschut. If we want to take away the judgment, we have to Malamid Schus on everybody. Everybody. Everything needs to be Derech Schut. With Derech, with positivity and positive thoughts and judging everyone positive. Not even judging, just being with love and positivity and life. And that's a big segula to really turn everything around. Be'ez Hashem to the Sefer Chaim. Mono chaviv alav begufa. So the next, we're going to do another small Torah since it was a small one. When your money is more dear to you than your body, yeah, you say, how could it be? Because in Parshat Hashem alekech b'chol avavcha nafshecha b'chol moedecha. That's the pasuk. Yeah, we say Krishma every day, every morning and night, especially in the Parshas Tefillin. And right now, these two special Parshas, Veaschanan Ekev, Dasha Chazal b'Gemara, Ahavta Hashem alekecha. Yeah, that we have to love Hashem, your God. You know, it's in this week's Parsha even, right? In the Elias, before Vayim Shema, we have an important pasuk. The Eretz Asher Hashem Alecha, Hashem Alechecha, Doresh Osa. This is the land which Hashem chose for us and seeks us out, Tamid. See, the Colossian of Tamid, Hashem is always with us. Einei Hashem Alecha Bo, the eyes of Hashem upon it. Rosh Hashana from the beginning of the year, Ad Achris Shana, which is where we are at now. We see in this week's Parsha how much Hashem, a similar kind of Nakuda, that Hashem is always with us, and His eyes, His Ashkacha Pratis, is constantly with us. The point is He wants from us, He wants us to love Him, He wants to have a relationship with us. Not just that it's a more like, oh wow, Hashem's always like watching us. It's not Big Brother, it's our loving Father, it's a love relationship. Have Hashem Elokecha, we have to love Hashem. Tani Rebbe Eliezer, Me'im Ne'emar B'chol Nafshecha, Lama Ne'emar B'chol Moedecha. So a question from Rabbi Eliezer ben Huchanas. Remember, he was very wealthy family, and he gave it up. He gave it up to be able to be a Tam Chochem. Yeah. Also, for me personally, you know, I didn't come from such wealth, but I still had a family business I could have stayed in, and my brothers, I could have stayed in London and had a lot of shefa. It was most an effort to come to Eretz as well, to I don't know, become a Tam Chochem, but at least try to learn from Tam Chochem and be in a good place. And it's Mesiras Nefesh on a certain level. So they were giving up b'chol moedecha. Imna b'chol moedech. Lama nema b'chol nafshecha. Ela im yesh lecha adam shegufo chaviv alav memonu. Lekach nema b'chol nafshecha. Im yesh lecha adam shememonu chaviv alav gufo. Lekach nema b'chol moedecha. So there is such a concept that people's money is more precious than their body. Yeah, they'll give up their life.
That's the biggest
for the sake of money.
That's the biggest clip of the Rabbeinu.
Yeah, sure, but we're going to understand. We're going to, but without getting into that, without getting into that whole nakuda of Musa that Rabbi Nachman is saying. Yeah, we're not getting into that. We're getting into a certain. We're trying to understand Chazal. Yeah, other than tithers and all that stuff, we're not talking about that. We're talking about a certain messias of money. Yeah, because when you get older, you're going to see that you can call it whatever you want. At the end of the day, you need panasa. Yeah, you're going to see. You're going to need. And that's, you know, we always ask Hashem if anyone wants to sponsor the shir or help. But we need panasa. So you can call it whatever you want. At the end of the day, you need it. Yeah. So you no. So we're going to see. No, we're going to see. We're going to see. Let's see where the Tolna Rebbe, not your days. Yeah. Let's first listen to the Rebbe, and then you can say a svara or something. Rabbi Akiva Amar b'chol nafshecha afilu noto es nafshecha. Rabbi Akiva says with all your soul, even if they take your soul, you're still in love with Hashem. I mean, look what happened to Rabbi Akiva. He was a dogma of Mesiras Nefesh. He gave up everything. He died in the most in a horrific way, but he died with Shema Yisrael Shem Elokeinu Shem Echad on his lips, and his whole life he wanted this Mesiras Nefesh. That's how he was living with a Mesiras Nefesh, especially after his time of tshuva when he became Ben Arbayim. He was living in a Mesiras Nefesh, giving up his soul to Hashem. It's a big wonder that a person could be in this world and that his money could be more important than his body. And he doesn't give the answer you gave. I'm sorry, but you have to see what the Rebbe says. Eich yisaken k'zo she'odem yaskim la'oved gufa v'lo aved etz mamona. Yeah, we see that there are people that are willing to give up their body, but they're not willing to give up their money. What's it going to help him after he loses his body, all the money in the world? It could be like when we went to the Rebbe and he talked about Bill Gates. He could buy a $30 million submarine, but what's the submarine going to help? One, he never uses it. It's a complete waste of money. But two, what's it going to help with him anyway? Markesha, what's he need a submarine for? Yeah, we saw a goof, only chamurim emisa, that the suffering of the body is becoming poor, is more difficult than death. Yeah? Having anias, we're going to see this, having poverty can be more painful than dying. And by the way, this is something I personally, right now, really need chizuk in. Not that I'm, chas v'shalom, thinking this way, like in the sense of money is more important than my guf. I always thank Hashem every day that we're healthy and the family are healthy, and every Shabbos we talk about we're all healthy, Baruch Hashem, and Admei Veserim, and thank Hashem for all the good that we have. But at the same time, it's an assign, like to anias, and not having to be able to do things for your family or to be able to cover the costs of life. It's very difficult. And this is a big challenge before Mashiach comes, because everything's so expensive, as the prophets and the Chazal talk about. Everything's going to get so overpriced, and just to be able to function in the way of living as well. B'kol mokum yisurim chamurim yoseh. Shekana am Chazal am Rav Alamai negdava lachanina mishav azare polcha lesalma. What's this? Yosh. Shemalkus yisurim. What is this?
יויון שם.
Shemalkus v'Yisurim chamurim yosim and misa. There are malchus and Yisurim that are more hard than misa. That was apparently where Chanina, Mishal, and Zaria they experienced such a suffering. Even the worst kind of cruel death, like what happened in the Shoah. Yeah, there's certain misas that are worse. Like we learned, for example, from Victor, his name was, from the famous, he was the one who brought the meaningful life, or meaning. He wrote a very important sefer about having meaning in life, and he was in the Shoah, and he brought down the whole concept of therapy, logotherapy. That, nowadays we get a lot of chizuk from his whole derech. Let me just see. I'm just trying to find it. Baruch Hashem, therapy. Viktor Frankl's therapy of meaning. So he understood in the Shoah that as suffering as he was able to rise up above the suffering through the mental. That's why the emotional, mental world that he was learning from Rasodik, the level of the heart is the main thing, because no matter what you're going through, how you experience it is the ikka. The way you script it, how you look at it, your hashkafa. Viktor Frankl, even during the Shoah, came up with this whole new way, revolutionary way of experiencing suffering, where you don't react to it, you're proactive. And it's something that people like Tony Robbins, Lavda, or Stephen Covey, and all these big guides and thought leaders in business, etc. They realize that this is the key to being to a happy life, is to be proactive. Like Amavino was proactive, was a Baal Chesed. He'd be busy, not reactive. And someone yesterday, we were on a chat, on a Zoom, Zula, and he was saying he wants to make a new word in the English language. He's actually in the busy process of writing a book and applying for a new word to be added to the dictionary, to change resilience to susilience. Transform a person's ability to deal with suffering, rather than seeing it as a more negative, like from fear, but to turn it into a successful experience with love, that you're above the suffering. And it's a certain madrega, a certain revelation that's happening now more and more. The fact that even a guy, I had this to learn with him, he was an ex-police officer, and he's trying to help bring healthy lifestyle for police officers and mental wellness. And so that I had discussed to have a course which he was part of, and I helped hopefully I helped him, and now Min Shemaim yesterday he was helping me with a certain idea, and this group that we have online, and they just be able to step into this place where your mindset is positive, is not victimhood, but it's an opportunity. You're not feeling like a victim. You're feeling empowered. You're feeling energized.
It's in Dugma. Like a man rushed to the Rebbe. The other came at 9 o'clock. He came to the train. Driver. The second he came, the train started driving. He has 2 ways to look at it. You can look at it. Wow, I came early to the train. Yeah. Like you look at it. Wow, I missed the train.
The other way around.
A whole hour.
Yeah.
Maybe they go on the whole
now
hour.
I can prepare. Yeah, it's true. It's all about how we look at it. 100%. But it means it takes a certain true mindset of understanding how the world really works, and to be davik to Hashem, and to, like we said, tamid, to always be with Hashem, and to have the right hashkafa of Emunah and hashkafa pratis. And shalom etzel be'ir ma'im azel yesh lecha adam shemamano chavev elav megufa v'shema'adif la'aved es gufa masher la'aved es momo lefi she'im yotlu es mamano himenu hanichai sa v'dachkas v'noira. Because what he's trying to say, the Rebbe, is that if a person has his money taken away from him,
it's also like that.
It's worse.
I think it says.
He's saying it's worse.
Only kameis. No, the door and
I know, but he's saying it's worse. The doctor anias ma'avirim it's adam al daso or das koina. This is a more serious. If a person dies, he dies. It takes a moment. Yeah.
But he is also dying, and also dying in.
He's dying again and again every minute in his mind by not having das, by having his das taken away. Yeah, when you're in a situation of anias, a person's das is taken away.
Yeah, that's very
and
big.
If you live without das, is worse than dying. Yeah, that's basically what he's saying. Okay, that shows you how important das is. Yeah, das. Okay, but MS tov, Mosa b'chayev, and the truth is, it's good in Mosa b'chayev. Yeah, he'd rather be dead. Mutav lo Mosa es na'atzmon yisoy misa halfim yad, masher Mosa es mamono l'chayes chay sav yisurim shavur al dasa v'al das koina. Because the more important thing, he starts to lose his mind. But now we're going to get some chizuk from the Rebbe, from Rabbi Avram Yehuda Kodesh, another Bal Yisurim v'Sameach. He was always happy. I remember him very much. Also, same time as Rav Shlomo Edelman. He was a big tzaddik who I think about tshuva came from a lot of shefa, and he gave a lot of staka from his family to the kehillah, and that's why we also have his donations to the shul till now, even though it was years ago when he was nifta. I remember helping him up the stairs a few times in his wheelchair. We have to pick up the wheelchair and help him to get into his house. I remember many times doing that with his helper, because he lived opposite us in Fishel. You were very little then, but he was always smiling, and he was in a wheelchair in David Chazan, as small as that shul was and packed as it was. They would always make space for him next to the Rebbe. He davened right at the front. They always mechabed him. So it says it's Chaim Menachem is the Hilula. This Shabbos is the Hilula of this special Yid, Rabbi Avram Yehuda. Yeah, that's so. Yeah, Kodesh. Shachai Chaim Shayisurim. He had a life of suffering with Sav, Sovu, Meshach, Shanim, Aruchas. He was crippled, like he had all kinds of illnesses. Even though he had all these difficult, bitter sufferings, Tamid Haisis, Alasa Panav, his face was always joyful. Because a Kol B'nei Chabur Kadisha, and he would always remember everyone in the Chabura, Eich Tamid Hai Meisiv Simcha. He'd always respond with Simcha, the Chol Misha Dorish B'Shlom. Anyone who asked him Shalom, he'd respond with Simcha. Ha'eich Tamid Moida V'Shevach Hashem B'Simcha B'Hodah Rabbah, and he'd always be thanking Hashem with Shevach, with praise. So his name's Yehuda, yeah, he's praising Hashem all the time. He really had a lot of reasons to be very sad. Yeah? Yeah, forget about this challenge of Panasa. His body was like messed up. Yeah, he had all kinds of pain constantly, and yet he was v'zikrin l'voas b'mamish as gashmas because of Haftas Shem Elechech. He was mamish living this week, last week's Shabbos Parsha, and this week as well, because there's a hemshech, the second Parsha of Krias Shema. We say in this week's Parsha, you have to serve Hashem with all our heart. Bahava Rabbah, Labora Kolamim. Beloy Shamet shows he had no taina on Hashem or any bad thoughts. Ela b'simcha dolat suma. He was in a constant state of great simcha. Hayzeh David Chidish Pela Atzam Asher Almale Ra'inu Lo Aminu Shekocha Yaish Amala Asher Kizeh Balamazeh. We wouldn't imagine to be such a person in this world, such a holding, such simple, in such suffering. Kevish Zechinu La'ake Demus Palaim Zu Zechinu Lios Imo Bechor Achas Beitz Achas Walan Yitain Al Leiv Bechinis V'chai Yitain Al Libo. We have to put life into our heart. Likach Mamenu Musla Seichel Amud Godel. We have to learn out a great Musla and learning from this. Ketzad Tzach L'Kayim Es Midas Ahavas Hashem. How we can do the attribute of loving Hashem with simcha, with joy. This is your whole thing. We has to not just stay by I love Hashem, but to expand it into simcha. The love for Hashem should bring you joy. Every time, in every situation.
That's the sort from
Tshuva, that's what you're learning. That's your whole thing. You shouldn't just stay in this situation of suffering. You have to think about all the good, tremendous kindness. I was actually doing that this morning because it's been a rough takufa with the Panas, and I was thinking, wow, but Hashem's done so much chesed for me till now. So much chesed to have a home in Eretz Yisrael, to have a beautiful family on it. Something I could list off again and again and again. All the miracles Hashem has done. Hashem is chazek, neilech, bedachim, chazek, eilu, bevadai, yalet tava, vainu, began Eden, but it's the only way. Lavo l'simcha gedola, l'simcha solam al-vashenu, Sach lemod Rebbe Avram Yehuda, Shafal Pisha Mesob Yisurim Tamid, Hay Besimcha Bahuda, Kolahon Misha Einum Miyas Sach Rak Lahuda Seshevach is Barak Al Kola Tovashekam Lo. If you go to Rav Simai Zilberberg, his whole Torah, I was looking at it so far, is all about one Nekuda Koras Tov. And it says here, he says a story from the Brisker Rav. The Brisker Rav would never put tefillin on any bochrim. It wasn't his thing. You had the Tolna Rebbe put tefillin on you. Bar Mitzvah had the Tolna Rebbe put tefillin on him, and Zalmi had the Tolna Rebbe put tefillin on him. But the only son who didn't was Menachem Dov. He had Rav Samet, because I couldn't get to the Rebbe during Corona, but I could get to Rav Samet, and Rav Samet was willing to do it, and he put the tefillin on Menachem Dov, who should be well. He's serving hard in the army right now, running, doing marathons. We dedicate learning to him, to all the soldiers. We have Shmei Elyon, we have a Koras Tov to them. Appreciate them and appreciate what they're going through. The simcha that he had a Corona Bar Mitzvah, and yet he said it was more geschmack than all the other Bar Mitzvahs he went to, because it was in our home and it was Parsha and simple, but there was a simcha there and appreciation. That was one of the main kavanas when I named him Menachem Dov. They should constantly be in a state of a Koras Tov, of thanking Hashem. That's the key to bringing Geula, a Yehuda, the source of Malchus based David. The key is to constantly thank Hashem. And with that, Be'ez Hashem Yizaka, to turn these weeks that were preceding the 7 weeks from the Chamtas, the days of Simcha. So next year, Tisha B'Av will be a day of L'chaim, Tovim, in the Binyan Bar Shlishi, and we'll have all the shefa we need till then, and bracha and zoka to the Gula Shlema, Amen, Amen.